So I will have him go ahead and introduce himself and tell everyone how old he is.
Hi, my name is Dane. I'm 15 years old, and I've recently start a fitness journey or resume and try to stick to it, and it's going well for me.
Okay, thank you. So what grade are you going into?
10th grade, starting this year. Been a little rocky the past couple years, but starting to get ready to get back on track with school.
Yes, yes. So we're going to get into that a little bit too, because we talk a lot about how the pandemic affected all of us. But when we talk about children or young people, we talked more about the psychological effect, and then we talked about us. We talked a lot about how it affected us physically, the pandemic weight. But we're going to talk about, even from a health standpoint, how that could have affected children. And we thought it was nice to do this now too, because school actually starts next week. So we will be sure to wrap this up with some tips on how to navigate even going back to school for kids and teens, so that they can still have a healthy lifestyle. So whenever I do these lives, I always like to talk or start with a person's journey, what brought them to the point that they are today. So we'll start there. Before I do, I want to welcome Glenda Register. Thank you so much for being here. And if you all will bear with me just a second, I am also going to share this video. And there we go. To a couple of folks, and if there's anyone you think would benefit from this, definitely please share with them. So as I said, we always like to start with, what was your journey? Well, I can speak for Dane. His health journey started with me almost 18 years ago, because in my early 30s, after saying I didn't want children, then I changed my mind and wanted children so bad and was having a very difficult time getting pregnant. Doctor says you're going to need to lose about 30 pounds. As it turned out, I needed to lose 60, ended up losing 65 pounds. So that was early 30s. And within a few years, I got pregnant. And so here we are today with Dane. So a lot of times when I'm telling him what life was like before that, he cannot relate to that, because what he saw was the healthy lifestyle. He was born into that, I like to say, born into a healthy lifestyle. And so he's never seen certain things, certain things maybe that I was raised on, or things that we give our children, he's never seen. So, maybe he can speak a little bit to that, because one of the things I didn't want to do, and we'll talk about that too, is ever make him, even as a toddler, feel like he was on a diet, or just because his mom was a health coach, that was what his destiny was going to be. Hello, Brittany. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate you being here. So what we will start with then with Dane is, please tell us what things have been like for you, as far back at least as you can remember, as it relates to food. So let's start there.
Well, in the early years, I remember we'd eat healthy and we'd do real good, and then of course we'd have like a cheat day or certain days like soda and popcorn and pizza wasn't real big. So I mean, it wasn't something that I had every day, but occasionally, maybe once a week, my mom would allow me to have a little bit of popcorn or a little bit of soda. And some days we go out and get Mexican food, but all in all, it seemed like that process, it didn't make me feel restricted to the extent where I had to feel deprived of certain snacks or certain candies or certain things like that. It just feels like there's a time for all of that, and of course there are some days where we were able to eat what we wanted. So.
Yes. So even if I am on a maintenance plan, and there's a particular way that I like to do that, I didn't want him to feel that way. But now when he talks about Mexican food, y'all, I can remember when he was 7 and somehow we were in a conversation with somebody else about cars, and the term Cadillac came up. What did you think a Cadillac was?
I thought a Cadillac was a drink, an alcoholic drink.
Yes, the margarita at my favorite Mexican restaurant is called a Cadillac. So those are things that he did see, but at the same time, really trying to teach restraint. So he mentioned cheat days. I like to call those actually the days that you make the decision to have something else, maybe something else that doesn't support your program. But now we do know that, pediatricians and doctors talk often about, the fact that children, and even dentists, they talk about how children do not need sugary drinks. They do not need soda. They do not need those things. Even the juices, but all of that is just everywhere around. Of course, it's marketed to kids. So that was always a bit of a challenge for us. Yeah. Thank you, the Dr. Lauren, for joining, because we have one way of doing things in the house, and then when they go to grandma and grandpa's and grandmama's and big grandpa's, things are different. Maybe you could speak on that too.
Yeah, I remember the biggest thing for me, other than soda, which I'd always want, but I had just learned that at certain times I will not be able to have it. But one thing I got into a not so good habit of having was sweet tea. And it was to the point where I drink it. I'd make it at home. When we went out to eat, that was the only thing I'd order. When we went to family members' houses, if they had peach sweet tea, like any sort of sweet tea, I'd always get it. We're at the store picking up a lot of different cans of Arizona's, and it just became an unhealthy habit. And of course, you mentioned dentists, doctors, pediatricians, all those certain groups of people. Mm-hmm. They all told me that it wasn't the best habit, only because it was sweet tea. So there were some days where I just had to skip sweet tea, and it had gotten into a habit where I was just, it took a while, and it was hard to try to stop, because it was like my favorite. Mm-hmm. But
yeah, and that's crazy about sweet tea. Yes, it is a Southern thing, Dr. Lauren says. And the thing, Lauren, is that sweet tea down here where we are, I don't know, it just hits different than the Midwest where we're from. And that's when I learned that the sweet tea was actually as bad as, if not worse than, soda. So, not even just for health reasons, but even the dentist said, if you insist on drinking it, and I'm sitting here rolling my eyes saying, I don't want him drinking it, but he loves it. But even if you did, you had to brush your teeth right after. That's what they tell you to do when you eat candy. So it lets you know. So all in its place, unsweetened iced tea is definitely refreshing. And then I've got some other ways that I can sweeten the tea with natural sugars, that make it more than palatable and still refreshing. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about food and Dane being born into this healthy lifestyle because his mom was already a health coach when he was born. So he didn't see I'm telling y'all the stories. I don't think he believes them until he sees the pictures. But anyway, I digress. Exercise. So how long have you been exercising, or is this something new for you?
I've been exercising really as long as I can remember. It's just a matter of off and on throughout the years. But when I was little, we'd go on walks. I had a Wii. That was really helpful. I was able to get some movement in the house, and it was fun. And then my mom had an elliptical that she'd use. I'd always be like, I want to use the elliptical. She'd be like, no, not yet. But that was just some of the lifestyle and some of the different things that I saw and was able to use in my childhood that helped me. And then recently we have an in-home gym, and I think that's helped me quite a bit to get out of the bad habits I had.
Mm-hmm. So we really tried to make movement just a part of life, exercise, movement. There was this period, of course, where I was really going to the gym for some years, and he wasn't old enough to go with me. I mean, I pushed and tried, and he just wasn't. And then when he was, the pandemic hit. So we weren't ever able to do that together. But that's why I thought it was worth it to make the investment to have some equipment at home. But you don't have to have that. Up until that point, And thank you so much, Brittany. Up until that point, we walked. I mean, his whole life. So he kind of touched on it, but let me tell you, I have the pictures to prove it because I always took pictures. So I've got pictures when he was little, but yet put on your tennis shoes and let's go. And I made sure that he understood that, yeah, it was time for us to bond and look at nature and all of that. But this was also part of what a healthy lifestyle was. So he was very clear. We would push ourselves. The furthest that we've done together with a really good time, we figured out the other day, was 6 miles. That's been our top. And I know at some point we are going to work on going even further. So it wasn't anything that was a drudgery. Tried to make it fun. And then the last thing I want to touch on as far as like being born into a healthy lifestyle has to do with the fact that I was already a health coach. So what did that mean for you since I was self-employed and working at home? What do you remember about that?
Well, I know that being self-employed, that means we were at home more. And I'd overhear conversations with clients, and I'd just be like, man, this is some really good information that maybe I could benefit from. And then the more I'd hear more, I'd start experimenting more and asking more questions, which helped. And that is just one of the things that really helped me to understand certain aspects of health and try to do it myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember a brief period where he actually said, I want to do what you do, Mom. And I was like, I don't know if you really want to, but he was really, really young. I can remember the house we lived in, and I have it on video because I remember giving somebody my email address, email me back at, and I said it, and then before I finished, he said, @gmail.com. I said, boy, you better stop trying to do my job for me. And I think he was about 3. So again, that's what he heard. So let's see. Hello, Joshe Project. Thank you so much for joining. And thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Lauren. One of the things I want to say is everybody is not a health coach, but we're hoping that this conversation helps you to see that you can still provide a healthy lifestyle. Biggest way is going to be example. Because again, part of this conversation was that we're not trying to put our kids on diets, but at the same time, we're trying to show them a healthy way of life, something that will stick with them. Hello, Wrapped in Chic. Thank you so much for joining us today. So we've talked about him being born into a healthy lifestyle. I want to transition quickly now to the relationship with your pediatrician, because a pediatrician, should play a role in your child's health. And in this specific case, we're talking their physical health, their nutrition, weight, things like that. And so, I'll speak a little bit to that, and I know Dane can fill in. We have a pediatrician that was highly recommended to us at a practice in town, Pediatrics. I will put that in the comments or in the caption after this if you're in the Atlanta area. We have Dr. Fredley Bataille. He has been our pediatrician since we moved here. I actually wanted him to be my doctor. He's just that good. So he's been our physician for 10 years. And over the years, especially as as a parent, children will go through different phases. They show you that chart, the percentiles and all that. And it can be a little scary sometimes, especially not understanding sometimes as a parent that the very next year, those numbers could be totally different. But when Dane went through a phase, whereas Dr. Bataille kindly said, and Dane and I have talked about that it's okay to share this, but he very kindly said, well, buddy, your height isn't catching up with everything else. It will soon. And of course it has. But during that period, Dane, what do you remember about the things that Dr. Bataille shared with you?
Well, I remember it was different because it had been a little different than what I had heard before, but it was just that phase. But there were certain things that I needed to either change or do differently, and he was really very helpful. It's been this whole 10 years. He's just been real helpful in helping me with any questions I've had. And in that specific period, I remember it was like, man, I'm gonna need some help doing this. And that's really when I decided to, get more active, try to do more things, even before all the gym and even just walking a little bit per day with my mom. That's definitely helped.
Yes, yes. And I want to welcome Ocean Breeze. Thank you for joining as well. One of the things that Dr. Batai would do, and that's Batille, is he would talk with me first. We in the hallway, we kind of come up with a game plan of how we were going to address certain things. He was asking me questions first. Not so much now that Dane is 15, but that's what we did in the earlier years. He would print out information and then he would have the discussion with Dane. But again, in the most tactful, caring, sensitive way. In a way that we would be in the store even when Dane was young. And while I did allow him to eat boxed mac and cheese, I have a reel about that, or a video about that, that I did a while ago. I'm the crunchy mom. Yes, boxed mac and cheese, Oreo cookies, they all had their place. There would be times that he would say, I wonder what Dr. Batai would say about that. So Dane, did he ever make you feel some kind of way, or where it, did something about how you felt about your body or anything in a negative way?
No, never. He's always been a very supportive of certain things. Even if I tell him what I'm doing, it's not like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, oh, stop doing that, or you need to change. It's more like, okay, well, we might need to find healthier alternatives. And that, when it comes across that way, it's a lot more helpful, at least to me. And I'm sure a lot of people can speak on that as well. That then when it comes across in a nice and very almost sympathetic way, it really helps the person who's in the other position to feel like it's easier for them to do the other things. And for me, that was making changes to diets, exercise, even routines that I had for years. Some things I just had to change.
Yes, yes. And I want to thank the Healthier New You for joining. Also, Kathy Rumping, thank you so much for joining. So we're talking about the relationship with the pediatrician, and I wanted him to share that because it really set a good example for me as a parent, because even though I was a health coach, I was used to coaching adults. And there is a different psychology that is required when we're dealing with our children. So you don't have to be a health coach, but I took cues from the pediatrician. And as Dane said, he was just always very sympathetic, empathetic, but just so encouraging. And he was able to talk about health and weight loss even in a way that made it very palatable and something that Dane was excited about. And I'm just grateful that we had him in our corner. So now we want to talk just a little bit about the pandemic. So I'm going to start with the fact that it has been rough, y'all, for me. I'm someone who still exercises regularly, never stopped during the pandemic, eating well for the most part. But under the psychological stress of the lockdown in the beginning, my weight fluctuated slightly. And so, I was even more determined, really had to step things up. But my partner in crime over here kind of went the opposite direction. I mean, Dane, you can either speak about what that looked like or even why that happened.
Yeah, so I know, for me, the pandemic, it was hard, not only because of weight loss, but also, because it was for everyone, because of school or work, just every aspect, it got harder. And I remember the year before the pandemic started, I had a really hard time. I was at a point where I was eating multiple, packs of Pop-Tarts every day. And the pandemic, it just didn't allow me to do any of the walking, or at least the beginning part of it, as much as the walking, any of the exercise. We were going to try to fit me into our gym membership, and because I would have been the right age. But then the pandemic hit, they shut down. They've reopened since then, but we have a home gym now. And that was one of the things that I'm really grateful for, is our home gym in our basement, because we were able to clean it out. We were able to put equipment down there, and that sort of, at least so far, it's been able to kind of catch me up on the things that I felt like I sort of lost. The walking, the exercising, and even eating right. We've made better choices in what we even buy at the grocery store, which is where it originates. Because, you look at one thing, you're like, maybe I shouldn't have it. Then you see something else, and you're like, Yeah, and then it just keeps going. So, you know, making the right choices, starting at the grocery store, then then going to the portions that you eat at home. That's really helped me, and even getting healthier snacks that are still taste perfectly like great. We went from Pop-Tarts. Now I'm eating apples, and apples and peanut butter. That's a great snack to eat instead of that.
Yeah, that's like his new jam. So I'm like spending a fortune on apples, y'all. But I mean, what am I to say? Don't buy apples. Stop eating them apples. You know how moms can be. But one of the things that Dane said that I really, appreciate him saying is, like, you can catch up. You don't have to allow the past, maybe where you weren't as diligent about what you were eating or exercise, to keep you from doing it. Because during that period, I got really nervous. I'm like, this boy has been, with me all this time. I really thought that he enjoyed the exercise we would do together. I thought he appreciated the value of eating healthy meals, and it was like he reverted. But then I had to remember the times in my life where I did, and it would have been too much pressure to put on a teenager who is going through different changes physically to really then be hard on him. Because again, as I said, even in the caption, there's certain nutrients that children need, and then just psychologically, I didn't want to do that. But honestly, I was nervous, very, very nervous. Like, are we gonna recover from this? From the times that I'm like, Dane, I'm leaving in the morning. Why don't you come in the basement with me? And he was just like, nah, I'm good. But we did. I also want to welcome midlife mom wife. Thank you so much for joining. And so this brings me to what is, to me, the most exciting piece of it, is that by setting an example, which is what I have tried to do for him. I really, really have tried not to pressure, to push. When I'm saying no soda, and all, like I said earlier, all the grandparents are saying yes soda. I mean, it's the grandparents. What are we going to do? So I really just had to let all of that go. But I tried to set a good example for him. So bring us up to date now, where you are in your health journey.
I'm at the point, it's progressed up to that. I try to do a lot of walking, but mainly what I focus on is rowing. We have a rower, and that's been really good. And then weightlifting. I know even if you took out the rowing part, some things you can do with weights and walking alone, and even just stretching exercises, that can go a long way too. So I'm at the point where I'm working out 3, 4, 5 sometimes days a week. I've seen changes in certain areas that I didn't think were even possible for me 2-3 years ago. We cut out a lot of things, but that doesn't mean that you can never have them. So if we do good all the time, and then there will be certain days where we can do soda, cookies, because it's just normal, because you don't want to feel like restricted all the time. But the main part about that, if you do that, and if you do it often, for me at least, I make sure to try to make sure my health, my fitness, like working out, that I get a lot of that in as well, so that my fitness is still it's still going well, I think, right now. So I'm not planning on stopping anytime soon, and it's probably been one of the best decisions I've made in my life to put down the video game controller and go pick up some weights.
Man, you were reading my mind, son. Those video games. But during the pandemic, it just is what it is. And I think all of us may have developed some not so great habits, but again, we can recover. Brittany, you say, yes, it's really helpful to hear this. I am so glad, especially with young children, it's just good to catch them while they're young. And that's what I tried to do with him. And the grandparent comment resonated with you. Yes, that was a challenge. And I'm going to be honest, I used to get angry about it. Like, why are they not respecting my wishes? but it's grandparents. So it is what it is. I learned to, if you can't beat them, join them, and then just know that the times that he was going to be with them, that's what it was. And so that just meant at home still trying to set, the example and reasonable boundaries for him so that he did not feel deprived as a kid. Wrapped in Chic says this makes it reasonable and long lasting. Yes, and the opportunity to get better with time. And I really believe that he feels that way. I know that just like as adults, he's going to go through different phases in his life. We don't know what to expect this school year. He's going into high school, has not been on a campus in 2 years because of the pandemic. And so we don't know what homework is going to be like. We're going to be getting up early. It's going to be a much different schedule. But I am confident that even if he were to slack off, just as there have been a few times, depending on circumstance that I have, once it's in you, it's in you. So the thing is, you want it in you, and you also want it in your children as early as possible. We're going to wrap up in just a few, but he mentioned a few times where he said, and we would eat Pop-Tarts. Let me tell you, I wasn't eating those Pop-Tarts. He was eating the Pop-Tarts, but there were obviously times. That was it wasn't a joke, but I'm just saying, you kept saying we. I wanted him to know I don't eat Pop-Tarts. But one of the other things we did when it came to treats was we would share things. Now, when he was little, we used to share food. We go to Chipotle and it's like, one burrito bowl, please. He's at that age, I can't do that. And he's told me that recently. Mom, don't be trying to share nothing with me. I need my own. Okay, so yeah, it's been a while that he's been having his own, but when it comes to sweets, that's what we'll do. And a lot of times, that just takes the edge off. So we have gone maybe to our favorite bakery. We like almost all the same things, which could be, that's good or bad. Decide on one flavor for a piece of cake, sit in the car with 2 forks and share it, and so that has also been another way that we've been able to enjoy treats without it really taking such a hit on our health. So before we close, we wanted to just share, maybe a few tips that might help you, especially with school starting, about making healthy choices. So what I want to say is that Dane never did have a school lunch. There were just some things that he saw in the lunchroom in kindergarten that Sprinkles, yes, Crystal, Sprinkles closed. Oh my goodness, they closed. But let me tell you, there's like at least 5 other places I'll take you to when you come here. But because of some things he saw in the lunchroom, he was just really turned off. So this boy has not had a school lunch from kindergarten up to now. That afforded me, though, the opportunity to have healthier options for him because he has packed a lunch every day. So now we're older now. Like I said, we were out of school for 2 years and now we're going back into the campus. What are some of the choices you've made? Because we've actually already kind of done one round of shopping and looking at, okay, what are you going to be taking for lunch? What are some of the choices you've come up with?
Well, I know with school lunches, they aren't the worst thing, at least here, because I've seen some things on the news where they just didn't even meet nutritional value. But, here, they're not as bad. And they can be pretty good, especially with the proportions that they put on the plate. But, for me, I just felt it was easier, more beneficial for my health and for what I liked anyway, just to pack lunches. So one thing we get at the store, for at least for the first couple of days, is they're called P3s. And they probably won't be for every day, but they're really good. They contain a lot of protein from ham, cheese, and nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I don't take that every day, it might be as simple as just buying, like some turkey bacon, or not turkey bacon, but like some turkey sticks, so any source of protein and cheese, and even maybe just a water for the day, certain things like that. Because then it doesn't feel like it's like forced something I have to like eat, like, school lunch, man. I don't even get to choose what they give us. Mm-hmm. But then it's also something that I enjoy that is healthy. So that's helped me. I've already pre-packed my lunches for the first couple of days. It has a little bit of everything. Some protein, some dairy for me, water and chips. Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's not bad to have chips with that, but just making sure you keep an eye on, what you do when you do have things like that. And for me, that was an issue, which, still trying to work on it. But
well, I know one thing that helped too, and I got to make sure we have enough of them, are the snack bags that are already, the smaller size. Because I remember before they start making those, which I don't know, for me, I just only remember seeing them in more recent years when he was small and going to school, and I put a few chips in a bag that big. It looked like he didn't have anything. But using those snack bags is psychological even for us as adults, to look like you're having more, and then you feel a little more satisfied. So that's going to be a strategy, of course, that we use going into the school year. We've discussed, maybe even Capri Suns or the Kool-Aid packs versus water. I will get you some. But he also has already been begging for a specific water bottle so that he can have water throughout the day. And that's something that changed a few months ago, where, he is just the water guy. So water has been one of those things that he has seen me have since he was a baby. Little Main Street Dreams, thank you so much for joining. As a matter of fact, since we talked about being born into a healthy lifestyle, anyone who has spent any amount of time with me on any level knows that there is always a water bottle full of ice water in my cup holder in my car. We have left home and gotten a half a mile away. Oops, forgot my water. That is a habit that I developed when I lost all that weight all those years ago, and that has never, ever, ever changed. Well, there was also a time period where I'm like, dang, grab some water. And he was thinking it was just because I wouldn't want to buy anything when we were out. That's part of it. But the other thing is, you want to always have water with you. If you see it, you'll drink it. And so water is a healthy habit. And tell me a little bit, because we already talked about your food choices and exercise. I'll say a little more on the food choices, but what's your view of sleep at this point?
It wasn't till more recently. I've been doing the exercise and trying to eat right, and I was getting decent sleep, but like good sleep. But I didn't realize the impact it had on your body because I didn't know. I really did not know. And if you don't, then, I did not know that it was actually recovery time for your body to, recover from the workout or, whatever you did that day. And it also gets you prepared, and you're less tired, of course, in the morning. And it's just beneficial all around. And I did not know it had as many benefits as it did. Getting a long, deep sleep is more beneficial, even if that means having to turn your devices off earlier to get to sleep. Even if that means wake up later, which I know is very hard. So for me, it does come the day before, turning off things a little earlier and just making sure that I get the right amount of sleep, because it does help. You do feel better. Your muscles get to relax. And you'll feel, more energetic the next day. And that's definitely been a help for me, especially since I've, tried to get back in the habit of doing things right.
Right. And I want to welcome Ashley, and also I am Katina Morrison. Thank you so much. Yes, Auntie, thank you for being here, Katina. So one of the things that Dane mentioned was, he said, I had no idea that sleep could do that for you. Now, y'all know it wasn't because I had never said it before. But I'm glad he mentioned that, because one of the things that we even had in our notes that we wanted to share was, now that he is doing things on his own, which is why when I'm exercising, you don't see him in my post. He used to always be with me, but he's doing his own thing. He's down there. I'm not telling him, I'm not suggesting. His entire regimen is on his own. But one of the things that he started doing was on YouTube, instead of just watching funny memes and stuff, what did you start doing?
Well, it kind of slowly snuck up on my feed, because, when I started, I looked up a video here, there, like, what's this? Like, how do you do this? Because, some things, I just had a urge to do at that point. And, it's even that might be even different than, hey, Mom, what's this and what's this? So, when I looked those videos up, more videos started getting recommended. And now, every maybe 3 videos, it'll probably go from a meme video to like a food video, like or something for the environment, and then some more funny videos. But then probably within every 5 videos or YouTube shorts that I go to, it'll be about fitness. It might be about transformations. It might be about people that, like, what success they've had with changing their diet. And it's not even just this hardcore stuff. It's really practical and simple things that they did just to change. And that's helped me. And even like the other day, my mom sent me a video about walking, and I know the guy who she sent me. Like, I was like, Mom, I just watched this video 3 days ago.
Y'all know how many videos are on YouTube, and he had just watched the same video I sent him?
Yeah, because it was a video about walking, and we planned on walking, and we did go walking again, because that was something that we didn't do as much since the pandemic. So, with that, with walking, because even though I don't walk outside every day, we do have a pretty good sized gym basement, so I'm able to just walk around in laps for about 15 minutes, and even as little as that helps. And that's something I do for my pre-workout and my post-workout, just to strengthen up before the workout and to kind of relax a little afterwards. So
you hear that? The pre-workout and the post-workout. And the reason I sent him that video is because all of our exercise had become strength training, or the rower. And I was, actually letting him know, look, we need to just sprinkle some more walking in there because of the health benefits, and especially the heart benefits, the heart health benefits. And so it was just so funny to me that he had already seen that video. So as a health coach, what I had to do was not be offended by that, because a lot of what he's seeing are things that I could teach him. There are things that I have been trying to teach him. Some of that actually really did stick. But each person's health journey is their own, and I'm really proud that he's doing it on his own, so he can find the people that resonate most with him. On YouTube, follow them. He's got his playlist together. I know that's a big deal for him, because it is for me. A good playlist for me, y'all, is what gets me through. And so I've gone down there when I'm calling him and he's not answering, he is in his own world, in his element. And I'm really happy to see that. So now we're just at the point, especially with him being 15, that we can really, really support each other, be accountability partners. Talked about that yesterday in a reel. The importance of having an accountability partner. If you can find one anywhere in your house, that is ideal. So the one thing that I'll close with, I said I wanted to just share a few more tips. There is quite a bit of information on the internet, and a lot of it is good information. I don't necessarily coach teenagers, but I actually work with clients that have teenagers, and we have good conversation on how they can help them get on their health journey. Number one is the parent is hopefully setting the example. But as far as some healthy options for kids, let them on some level eat what they want. Because as long as you're trying to instill the values of nutritious meals and the importance of movement, they will be okay. After that, Google things, because every child likes something different. He happens to really like turkey sticks, cheese sticks, so that will be a staple for his lunch. Some chips. He even likes veggie chips. Those aren't necessarily always a better option than Doritos. Y'all read the labels. Those veggie chips will get you. But it's a matter of still making sure that he has something that he likes. The apples and the peanut butter, that is the snack of the moment right now. Because I don't know if you all know how these young people, they'll love something today, and then tomorrow it's like, Mom, I never even liked that. I don't know why you buy that. Anyway, but there are enough healthy options out there that we can make this work. So that's what we wanted to share with everyone today. And I appreciate those of you who were able to join and stay. Yes.
Oh, no, I just wanted to say, because you brought up the labels, that was one thing that my pediatrician, Dr. Bataille, had taught me how to do from, when we first started seeing him. And, at first it really wasn't something that, I didn't really think it was that big of a deal. And then as I got older and I realized it was a big of a deal, I didn't want to or didn't care to. But now, even, just looking at things, and my mom will help me only because she knows that is something that I'll look for. Like at the grocery store, even I think it was like a couple weeks ago, there was like a noodle box I wanted. I hadn't gotten too many other things that, weren't extremely bad, extremely great for you. So that, that would have been like my one cheat thing. But then we looked on the calories. One small bowl, it had way too many calories for that one small thing. And certain different people need different amount of calories, and I've been able to kind of isolate mine, so I know what to eat, what not to eat, and even if I don't get it right each day, I'll hopefully be able to try harder the next day, and that seems to be working out too. But those labels, they'll really help you out a lot.
And I'm glad that Dr. Bataille did talk with Dane about that. That's why I say he's such a good pediatrician. And so I remember that noodle bowl. That's the kind of stuff that'll get you because it's easy and it's quick. You just add the water, and especially, teenagers, we're wanting them to be self-sufficient and independent. But I think the one bowl, it might have even been a half serving. I can't remember, but I remember seeing 400 and something for those calories. And so the only thing I said, and this was last week, the only thing I just pointed to the nutrition label. When he looked, he said, "Oh no, this has got to go back," because what he knows is it's not worth it. Now, if we wanted to spend that on a piece of red velvet cake, that might be worth it. But it was not worth it for this pre-made noodle bowl with all those preservatives, no protein. That just wasn't a good option. I want to welcome Pretty Hands Nail Bar, and yes, you've got an 11-year-old. Okay, I feel you on that. And then I am Katina Morrison says, let me go back here. Yes, leading by example pays off. She loved it, says that we're doing a great job, and we appreciate this. Yes, we will bring our show. We are going to take our show on the road at some point, but we will bring it back. Little Main Street Dream says teaching our twin girls and the little one about labels. It's very important. Yes, it is so important. And Ayana Simone X, thank you so much for joining. So we are wrapping up today. For those of you all that have been here from the beginning, we really do appreciate this. He and I have talked about this all the time. And then we just started talking recently about doing this, especially in view of school starting, and like, okay, now we got to take this healthy show into the school. We can't lose momentum. And so we're just glad that you made it here. You can read that one.
The glasses are fire. Thank you. That actually, I know we're wrapping up, but just another thing for me, a lot of things I didn't used to not like how, certain clothes were, how certain clothes fit me, just sort of insecure. But even after making some small changes, it definitely helped me, one, not be, feel different. But then after that, I'm like, after all these changes, I feel great. So, I mean, why not? And, I've started experimenting more. And, this was probably the start, especially because it really it just reminded me of it. But, yeah, that was just another thing that I struggled with. And this new fitness era definitely helped me. So,
because those are prescription glasses. And I'm really proud of Dane, and I appreciate you sharing that. Because a mother knows when a child might have insecurities, and it's just kind of, you got to figure out the best way to address them. So to hear him say that and the impact that having a healthy lifestyle has made is very gratifying for me. I'll shed a tear about this later, y'all. I can't do this on camera.
And even within the past couple months, I've just gotten compliments and things like, "Hey, you look like a football player. You should go play." And that's just that's just something I hadn't considered. But just different people saying different things like, "Hey, you lift," and I'm like, "Yeah." It feels different to hear that, and that's something, I didn't do it for that reason. I didn't do any of the work necessarily for that reason, but it proves that hard work does pay off. So I mean, if you aren't feeling like the work you're doing is sufficient, whatever you're doing, it definitely will pay off in many different ways. So if you're doing it, you should keep doing it. Definitely.
Listen to that health coach right there. See, he thought he was about to maybe go be a rapper, go live in New York, at Bethel. But really he's gonna be a health coach of some sort. No, seriously though, I'm real proud of him for doing that. One of your aunties says put it on YouTube. Okay, start our YouTube channel, and we actually got some stuff in the works that we want to do. We want to do some business things together. Little Main Street Dreams. Yes, please bring more videos. Love it. Crystal says, great job, Dane. We are so appreciative again of your time and of your comments. That helps us. For me, this has always been a form of accountability. That's why I like to be transparent about my health journey, even as a health coach. While I'm helping others, you all are helping me by supporting me. So, Dane, we got stuff to live up to now. So we plan on having a fun day because school does start next weekend. Got some fun stuff for him he doesn't even know about. It does include some treat stuff. And so I am very excited. So we will let you all enjoy your Friday. And again, we appreciate you being here. If you're catching the replay, please put #replay in the comments. And those of you who were able to share some of your own experiences, those with your kids, nephews, nieces, whatever, I appreciate that. If you're catching the replay, please put that in the comments together. We really are a community of people who are interested in health and also want to instill those same values in our children. So with that, we will say have a wonderful Friday and a wonderful weekend.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.